The Season 3 premiere of House of the Dragon delivers the battle fans have been waiting to see for years, but what makes the episode so devastating isn't simply that Jacaerys Velaryon dies, it's the reason he dies. In one cruel twist of fate, a moment that should have represented hope for House Targaryen instead becomes the beginning of another tragedy. Rhaena finally achieves her lifelong dream of claiming a dragon, but that same moment ultimately leads to Jacaerys' death. And by the end of the premiere, one of Team Black's brightest hopes is gone forever. And if you're addicted to House of the Dragon as much as I am, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your theories in the comments. I make every single one of these videos myself, so your support genuinely helps. And most importantly, subscribe if you think Vhagar should finally retire. No pressure. Let's get to work. Before we get to that heartbreaking ending though, the episode lays the groundwork for the chaos that's about to consume Westeros. The Greens are fractured, the Blacks are overconfident, and almost every major player is operating under dangerous assumptions. Nobody realizes just how quickly things are about to spiral out of control. The episode opens with a scene many fans have been waiting for since Rhaena was first introduced. After years of watching everyone around her bond with dragons while she remained dragonless, she finally comes face to face with Sheepstealer. Unlike the dragons raised among the Targaryens, Sheepstealer is wild. There is no guarantee that the beast will accept her. That uncertainty makes the scene fascinating. Rhaena approaches slowly, speaking softly in High Valyrian. To her surprise, Sheepstealer allows her to touch him. Then, almost unbelievably, the dragon lowers himself enough for her to climb on. It should be a triumphant moment. Instead, it feels terrifying. Rhaena doesn't have a saddle. She doesn't have riding leathers. She barely has time to understand what's happening before Sheepstealer launches into the sky. Rather than celebrating, she's hanging on for dear life. And in many ways, that perfectly represents Rhaena's journey. She has spent her entire life feeling left behind, longing for the thing everyone else seemed to possess naturally. But dreams often come with consequences, and the episode slowly reveals that this victory may carry a terrible price. Meanwhile, King's Landing is in complete disarray. Aemond discovers that Aegon has disappeared, and his frustration almost turns deadly. He nearly executes Grand Maester Orwyle before learning that Larys Strong has vanished as well. Eventually, we find the unlikely pair traveling together in secret. Their scenes provide some unexpected humor because Aegon remains completely incapable of keeping his pride under control. Even as a fugitive, he still behaves like a king. When guards stop their wagon and demand that they renounce the usurper king, Aegon's arrogance nearly gets them both killed. Ironically, it is Larys who saves the situation by revealing Aegon's true identity. Instead of claiming the bounty immediately, the guards decide the king is worth alive than dead. It's a reminder that even in war, power remains a valuable currency. Over on Dragonstone, another dangerous mistake is being made. Rhaenyra reveals her meeting with Alicent and explains that she believes she can end the war with one decisive move. But Jace immediately recognizes the danger. It's a trap. And honestly, he's probably the smartest person in the room. One of the most impressive things about Jacaerys throughout the series is how much he has matured. He isn't reacting emotionally here. He's thinking like a commander. He understands that trusting enemies during a civil war rarely ends well. The small council agrees with him, but Rhaenyra refuses to listen. That's one of the recurring themes of the episode. Everyone thinks victory is already within reach. Rhaenyra believes the Greens are finished, Aemond believes his enemies are already beaten, Alicent believes she can still control her family, and they're all wrong. Back in the Red Keep, Alicent finds herself losing control over events. Aemond has taken command and refuses to follow the plans she carefully arranged. Worse, she genuinely believes the war is already won. Interestingly, Helaena is perhaps the only person who truly understands her brother. She points out something nobody else says aloud. Aemond is afraid. Despite all his confidence, despite Vhagar, despite his reputation, he knows that if he faces Rhaenyra's dragons, death is a real possibility.
Alicent uses that fear to manipulate him. She flatters him, tells him he should have been king, and appeals to his pride. Slowly, she convinces him to travel to Harrenhal. But then comes one of the most disturbing scenes in the entire episode. Aemond kisses his mother, and the horror on Alicent's face says everything. The scene isn't there merely for shock value. It highlights how emotionally damaged Aemond truly is. Throughout his life, he has desperately sought love, approval, and validation. The boundaries between affection, power, and obsession have become hopelessly blurred. And even Alicent seems horrified by what her own influence has created. Elsewhere, Daemon and the Riverlords continue winning victories, proving that the war is spreading rapidly across Westeros. But all of these developments are ultimately setting the stage for the true centerpiece of the episode, the Battle of the Gullet. For book readers, this battle has always carried immense significance, but seeing it brought to life makes the tragedy even more painful. Jacaerys Velaryon attempts to lure Shirako Lohar away from the main fleet, while Jace and Baela attack from above with Vermax and Moondancer. Initially, the plan appears successful, but Shirako Lohar proves to be much more dangerous than expected. Weighted spears are launched at Vermax, nearly bringing the dragon down. Thankfully, Baela manages to save him. At sea, Jacaerys demonstrates why he is one of the greatest naval commanders in Westeros. He leads the enemy through dangerous rocky passages, trusting his experience and instincts. Eventually, however, the fighting becomes brutal and personal. Lohar boards Jacaerys' ship and chaos erupts. Men die around them as the two commanders fight for survival. Just when it appears Jacaerys is finished, the ship itself breaks apart. Meanwhile, Alan steps up in a major way. He manages to kill Lohar, proving that courage and greatness are not determined by birth alone. But while all of this is happening, another story is unfolding above the battlefield. Rhaena arrives riding Sheepstealer, and suddenly her dream becomes everyone else's nightmare, because Sheepstealer is still a wild dragon. Rhaena desperately tries to regain control, but she can't. Baela sees the chaos and assumes an enemy dragon has entered the battle. From her perspective, she has no reason to believe her own sister is responsible. Only one person realizes the truth: Jacaerys. And that realization changes everything. In one split-second decision, Jace changes Vermax's course to avoid harming Rhaena. He isn't trying to be a hero, he's not sacrificing himself, he's simply doing what comes naturally. He's protecting his family. And that's exactly what makes the tragedy so painful. Because in saving Rhaena, Jace unknowingly places himself directly in danger. A Triarchy ship launches another weighted spear. This time, Vermax is struck in the belly. The dragon begins to fall. What follows is perhaps one of the saddest sequences House of the Dragon has ever given us. Vermax crashes into the sea. Even then, Jace refuses to surrender. He urges his dragon to fly. He fights. He hopes. He refuses to abandon his companion. But eventually, reality becomes impossible to ignore. Vermax is dying, and Jace has no choice but to free himself and swim for the surface. For one brief moment, hope returns. Maybe he'll survive. Maybe he'll somehow escape. But war doesn't reward hope. An arrow strikes his neck, then another. Then another. And just like that, Jacaerys Velaryon is gone. Not in glorious combat, not during some legendary duel. He dies helpless in the water. And perhaps that's why his death hurts so much, because it feels cruel. Throughout the series, Jacaerys has consistently shown qualities that many older characters lack. He was intelligent, loyal, compassionate. He listened to advice. He inspired people. And unlike so many others involved in this conflict, he genuinely wanted what was best for his family and the realm. Ironically, those same qualities contribute to his downfall, his instinct to protect. Those are the things that place him in danger. And perhaps the cruelest part of all is what this means for Rhaena, because she realizes exactly what happened. She understands that Jace changed course because of her. What should have been the happiest moment of her life has become a memory forever tied to loss. That guilt might haunt her for years. Jace's death is also far bigger than the loss of a beloved character. He wasn't simply Rhaenyra's son. He was Team Black's heir, one of its most capable leaders, a symbol of hope, someone who represented the future. His death leaves a hole that cannot easily be filled. And that's really what makes this premiere so effective. It reminds us that House of the Dragon isn't a story about heroes triumphing over evil. It's a story about a family destroying itself. By the end of the episode, Aegon is a fugitive,